All right, good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap Live trading webinar today with Scott Pulcini. I'm your host, Bruce. We do this every Thursday. Scott trades live. If you guys don't know who Scott is, he's been trading for quite a while and has a really pretty incredible backstory here that he was trading 10% of the S&P E-mini volume back in the periods between 2002 and 2005. So we're very lucky to have Scott. I have contact information for him. He has a website, email, Twitter. He has a trading room and educational courses here, so you can reach out to him directly if you have any questions. Let's go through the risk disclosures, and then we'll turn it right over to Scott. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Live trading is in simulation demo paper trading mode and strictly for educational purposes. Live trading executed in simulation cannot accurately represent realistic trading performance. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. An investor could potentially lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security nor lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, Scott, are you there?
Yep, you hear me?
Hey, how are you?
What's going on? Good, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you. Yep, share your screen there, and we can get started.
Alrighty.
There it is. And popped out. All right, we're ready to go.
Alrighty. So, the usual screw the shorts. Wait, I gotta make sure I have my other book map running. I usually use that overnight. Let me just X out of this. Alright, so the usual looks like the market's gonna die. Screw you move. But these markets are in some important areas. You can see here, these are the zones I draw for myself and for my room. I'm actually probably going to start a subscription type thing where if you guys want these zones, you can get them like a daily basis. You know, you can draw them yourself, obviously, but it's just a quick reference. Anyway, this is an important area. This is where this is drawn to this selling tail directional conviction down, but this was also the high volume node of this week-long balance area. So this is a very important area right now as far as, you know, many times when markets break down, especially equities, you rarely get that. You'll usually get, because that's just so obvious, you have algos that play against that and screw all the shorts, kind of like it's happening now. But the usual tendency is break down and retest the low of the balance area, then continue and or high volume node. If this can get above here, then you're looking at a failed breakdown of the structure, and then we're probably going to get one of those. So, and that's what should happen, right? I tell my room every day, you know, you watch this, the high percentage reaction would be that if this does get through there and then kind of just stalls and then does this again, then that's going to happen, right? So if what you're expecting should happen doesn't happen, you know, you'll take some losses. Say this does get through the zone and I start taking longs, right? And I take a loss, and then it's, you know, comes back down here. Well, that's telling me something's up, because if this breaks this zone right now, this thing should rip. Now I'm ready. I take my loss, but I'm ready to make multiples on the next move down, and it's usually, you know, the opposing move is usually multiples of what should have happened normally, if that makes any sense, right? So again, if this breaks to this zone, this should start getting up to these zones. If this just hangs here after doing that and then starts to sell off again, then you're going to start to see the meltdown. So, you know, what I say all the time is, when you see these breakdowns, instead of trying to chase it, yeah, you could have caught a decent move here, but the best trades, especially in a trending market, are waiting for retests of important areas. That's when you take your shorts, right? This is a little different situation because this ADD is extreme. It's 2100. My usual rule is I don't take shorts when the ADD is because it's a trend up. 2000 is usually trend up, trend down type of day, right? So if it's over 2000, I won't take shorts. If it's under 2000, I won't take longs. So I have to make a decision, and you can also see the tick is just hanging up here at extremes. It touched 1300 and is just sitting up here, right? So this is not conducive to shorting. This is called being patient, right? So this is an important zone, but I would want to see this thing start to show that can crack at least the zero line, right, on the tick. That would give me a little more confidence to short. But right now, even though this is an important resistance zone in both these markets, actually I think I got through, yes, yeah, but you just want to be very careful shorting right now. Things can change, like they always do. But so this zone was actually at the bottom of this balance. We are at this high volume node as well. So this. I don't draw high volume nodes unless there's something else there, like I just did with the Nasdaq, because I can just eyeball it, right? It's not an exact price point. It's just an area. So this is where it's at right now. So this is a very important inflection point. If this can't get through here with ADD that high, with the tick that extreme, just sitting up there, then you're ready for Armageddon. So if not, then I expect the end of the year rally to get up to these zones, and I will reassess as we get up there. Some other points of interest. We've been watching this more and more. Bruce has been giddy about this product, this add-on called the Market or Trader Map Pro. So you can set specific sizes where so this is just a different variation of what I'm looking at, where you're not trading off of this or anything, and it's not showing me the MBO data that stops or icebergs, but it's showing me the larger sizes in the order book, whatever I set. So I set for ES of 100 to 1,000. So it's just showing me where those orders are. And a lot of times that's the real market, right? So instead of the bid asks all over the place like this, this is just Algoville. Most of these orders are algos. These are the big players that want to play ball. So many times you can, base your judgment at the beginning of the day on, if you see just the big players above, well, from prior webinars, and if you watch Bookmap for any length of time, those are magnets, and that's where we're going because the big players will push the market there. Again, I know all of that because that's the game I used to play all day, every day when I was able to trade 1,000 lots. So, I know the game, and that's why Bookmap is so great because it's showing you the game. If you're staring at a bar chart, you have no idea what is really going on. Again, you may be a great technician, profitable, but you can be multiple profitable if you understand this, have this information, and understand it. So anyway, you can see this came up here. So we had a webinar with Bruce last week. He came in my trade room and kind of went over. This was actually supposed to be for me, and then we did it impromptu and invited my room to go over this. But it looks something like this that day, and we were down here, pretty much like moving around down here, and it was like this and this. And so Bruce is like, well, this is the real market a lot of times, just like I just said, and he's like, I will play for moves into these areas. And I said, well, how are you going to determine which way we're going to go? There's liquidity on both of these sides, or there's big players on both sides. He's like, well, I wait for some cues, like, obviously I have my bubbles turned down here. But, when you start to see some, you kind of wait, and when this was basically right after the open, when you start to see them show their hands as far as the aggressiveness, and then you jump on. I'm sure he uses other things that he's looking at, but we did the webinar, and then we were sitting there, and we started to see this type of move, and he's like, yeah, I go long right here, and it literally went right to the liquidity, just like this did. So it's just very good information to have on which way we're going. Some days it looks more rangy. I mean, this looks like, this may even, so this is a good example right here, right? So if this can punch through here and you just keep seeing blue bubbles with no sellers, well, that's very likely where we're going pretty much right now. right? So just incredible information, more incredible information that gives you the ultimate edge in trading. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Between the SI indicator and this heat map, I mean, you're seeing basically everything that's going on in here. Nasdaq's not as, there's really nothing going on here. This just looks like, what this does tell me is, well, I mean, when I spread it out, these are just 25 lots. I have Nasdaq set from 25 to 100. Actually, that does tell me probably higher here too. You can see that, but very interesting, right? Just more information, but it's not like confusing information. It's not conflicting information. This looks like this market with, this ADD that's staying up here. Then you see all the liquidity above. You just say to yourself, I am not a seller. I am looking to buy, all right? And even if we're coming in these resistance areas, right? Well, like this, my mouse is on the fritz here. We got through here, so I would be the best trade here now, since we ripped through here, would be waiting for a retest. If everything remains the way it looks right now, wait for a retest into this zone that we just ripped through, wait for a volume event that I trade off of, and then you go long and you're looking at this for some of your profit and maybe higher. So that's what I am looking at now.
Yeah, Scott, that was
We're actually in here. I kind of made this zone a little lower. I drew the stuff from this directional conviction down, and then selling tail, directional conviction down, selling tail. But this actually is where this market started the other day down. So this could be a place where this pauses. Not that I want to be a seller, but instead of chasing this move up, you say, hey, this is an important area where this may pause. Then you wait for a pullback here, and then you go long. So we will see. Again, my main driver, I have my zones, I have my thesis, and then I'm waiting for real-time volume setups to take the trades, because that's the most important factor that you can be looking at. So let's
Scott, can you hear me?
Here. So anyway, this was the open here. There's not been anything since the open. You had a stop run here. You had some sell ice that just got blasted. All right, this was, let me take off this CBD. So this was a sell ice here. This actually did do an ATR retest. ATR was only, this just happened so fast. And I was waiting for these markets to die. I just kind of hesitated here, but this was a trade, right? So you have that. No, wait, hold on a second. Where is that? That was not, I take that back. That was not threshold. It was over here. This here. So this was 250. I don't think I got an ATR below here. Here was like 15. And maybe it did. Yeah, it looks like, so I feel better about not missing this, that I missed this trade, because my rules are, if the market is able to push an ATR below the volume event, then the long is disqualified, and vice versa, right? So I would not have gone long, but this did do that. But that would have disqualified it for me right at the open. So I don't feel so bad about missing that trade. And then this one was the stop run. This was threshold 157. So this one you would have had to been aggressive. So this is what I talk about all the time. I have two different entries for these volume events. One, it's aggressive. The minute it gets 110% of a 5-minute ATR outside of the zone, I get in, and then I risk 110% below the zone. Or if it's an area that's kind of shady, you don't have a lot of conviction, you can wait for the ATR retest failure. And I was watching this, and I would have gone long. And this is a perfect example of, I didn't get the retest, so I missed the long. So you have to decide for yourself as a trader, based on the other things that you look at, hey, is this a setup that I want to go long on aggressively, or I'm going to be patient and wait for that? The rule of thumb is, from my observations of thousands of these, it's about 70% or more of the time it will retest the zone eventually, right? But you are risking missing the trade, and I missed this trade. Not that I was gung-ho about being long anyway. I mean, yeah, with the current information, the most recent stuff, yeah. But structure-wise, I wasn't very giddy about going long aggressively. That's why I was waiting for a retest. Missed the trade. That's fine. There's another setup right around the corner. And you can see someone's coming in here and swiping this thing too. I'm sorry, sweeping, as Bruce likes to call it. I call them swipes. You see, buy swipes, buy sweeps, 600, 700. So these on their own, you could make, we're not doing that. I'm not trading off of these specifically yet. I need more information on the exact thresholds because for some reason these are multiples of the ice, meaning my threshold for icebergs to trade off of on the SI indicator, the subchart, is 150. Well, when you see 150 swipes in here, it means nothing. But when you start to see 5, 6, 700 like this, it does mean something, right? So you could draw zones. You just imagine you are the trader with your offers in the order book here, and you get swiped, and then you're like, oh yeah, I got it, and then you get swiped again. Then you're like, oh crap, and now you puke it, right? And you can see someone is swiping the crap out of this thing. If you don't think that's important information to know, then you just don't know. This is very important information to know. So right now, yeah, everything looks like liftoff, but pay attention to this area. If they keep playing their games and this kind of stalls and this gets below this area, then you're going to get the sell off, right? But for right now, everything looks like we're just going to keep going higher. So I have not got an actual setup, but if you are, you know, jonesing for a trade, you need your fix. Well, you can go along here and you can risk below these where these swipes started coming in, right? I personally have to see something on the SI indicator right now, so I will wait there. And then as far as ES, these are some very important resistance levels as well, right? So as far as spot gamma is concerned, you can see this one, this one, this one. So this could, pause in any of these and then pull back, but we will see. I'm not making any decisions / trades until I get a volume event. This one was actually close. I didn't even see this because I have my alert set at 700. On lower volume days, you could bring your threshold down a little bit. I usually don't because I've just been burned doing it. I try to stick. I'll move it up, meaning, on certain days you're going to be seeing 800, 1,000, 1,500, 1,200. Well, on those days, you don't want to be using 700. You want to be using pretty much the average of what's going on here. So I'd probably, on those types of days, I'd be looking for at least 1,000. To qualify the setups, as far as the threshold, you really want to see, 3 to 5 in a day as far as what is a good amount to be trading, right? And it's usually about 700. But if you're seeing at the open in the first 15 minutes of trade, you see 700 hit like 6 times. Well, you don't want to be using 700 that day. Up your threshold. You got to adapt a little bit. Most of what I do is pretty black and white as far as the thresholds and the volume setups and how I trade them aggressively or conservatively, but some days you have to use a little judgment, right? It's just like with the ATR. That's why we use ATR to judge the volatility of the market, right? So I'm actually surprised this is not higher. This market is just, it feels like it's all over the place, and this ATR is only 5 points. But, there's certain days, and I go back to this example, every webinar, you got these, I know there's plenty of them on here, and that when I put on an ES trade, I like to risk 4 points and make 8. Well, okay, on a day like today, that's fine. Well, what do you do when the ATR is 10? You're going to risk 4 points? Well, you have probably a 99% chance you're going to get whipsawed out of the trade because the volatility is saying you shouldn't be risking 4 points. You should be risking 10 points, right? So that's everything I do is based on the market structure, the volume events, and the volatility. And we have the spreadsheet that we use in my room. We'll go over that as well. But it's pretty systematic. But some days you have to adjust, especially with the volatility. So if you are risking 2 points on ES trades, good luck when the ATR is above 10, stuff like that. So another market I'm watching here, and I'll give you an example of the trade. Oh man, I shut down I was going to show you my other computer because right now the limit for these trader maps are only 5. Do you know why that is, Bruce? Do you know why it's only 5? I'm getting questions in my trade room too. Trader map rule.
Can you hear me, Scott? I don't know if you can hear me. Hello?
Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Turned down yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I'll ask development, but I think there was just a limitation because each symbol, I think, can have like 5, or I can't recall, but it was just becoming like way, people were starting to go a little nutty with it. So we're like, okay, let's kind of hold off a little bit for now. But it might be, you might be able to offer, we might be able to offer unlimited. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, I'll look into it and get an answer for you.
Okay, yeah, because 5 is not enough, especially for me. I'm watching 15 markets, but so anyway, I'll show you here. I just got to shut down one of my other trader. I keep wanting to call them heat maps, trader maps, but I just want to see. I should already be long this. I miss this trade. So this is the zone. I'll show you here in a second. And if I want to go long, I should have been long at 773 and long 10. And I missed the trade, so I'll put this in. Hopefully it'll rotate back and fill me. And we'll go over what I was seeing here as well. And the trader map actually helped me with this, with my thesis. So every day I open up my, the longer term charts with the zones. I actually don't have the zones on the wheat yet, but let's take a look at where we're at here. The main thing I saw today was the trader map, which I'll show you. But so this is an example. I do have the zones on here. I just don't have them. I don't have them with the labels on, so I got to get that. So because I'm doing all these for my room and I have like 15 different markets, and I'll update them each and every day. But anyway, this market, this was a balance area, right? And we break out, and what did I just talk about? Many times markets will retest the major balance area and at the high and take off, and or the high volume node and take off. If it gets to the high volume node, then you want to be looking to be a seller. Right now, this bounced exactly where it should with a volume event. That is a good long. Granted, you have recent structure here that you're below, but what's more important? This couple days worth, and I don't know why this won't show me. I keep having this problem with thinkorswim. Hold on a second. You can see the actual times. I keep deleting this, and there you go. There's the days. So what's more important? This is a decent area, right? So all these longs are caught. So this may take some time to get back through this high volume node, but this is much bigger, right? This is multi-week, so this is still bullish. Short term, it's looking bearish, but this is an important zone where I'm okay taking that long, especially. We gap down from here. I think we can maybe make it back up there, but we'll see. And again, this isn't like slap you in the face long, but overall, bigger picture, it's long. I'm willing to take a chance on it. And this is the thing, right? With Bookmap, if I'm just staring at this chart, I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, you got that, we're above that, but we're below this. I don't know what to do. Well, the real-time volume event tells you what to do, right? This is telling you go long. Again, I missed this trade, so I'm just praying this comes back here. This is a volume event. That's that buy ice. This was able to get a full ATR, which was only like 2 at the time. It's 1.92 right now. This was your retest. This was your failure. This is where I should have been long. This is telling me to go long, right? So this is why this information is so important. And then the other thing that I saw, I got to close. We got the crude number here in a couple minutes, by the way, so I'm going to close. This is NG, just so you guys if you want to see the heat map here. If anyone wants to bet a round of golf that we trade up to this price today, I'm more than happy. This is quite a ways away, but you can see black hole below, and then you have this above. Where do you think we're going? These are magnets. Max out of that, and then we'll open up one here. And I want to show you something in wheat. So why is it saying okay? So this is how you do it, right? You hit create, then you name it whatever you want to name it, add, and I want to do order size filter. So in here, I'm going to say 25, and you can make this infinity. It doesn't matter. I mean, make it 1,000. Why is this? It's saying I've copied limits reached, and I just X'd out of one. So that's not cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's there's just a max of 5 altogether.
Right, but I just closed out of one, is what I'm saying, right? So you can see I only have 1, 2, 3, 4. I just closed this, though. Hold on. All right, oh, you know why? I closed it, and it brought it into here. I got to close it again. Right. I got to unsubscribe. Right. All right. My bad. Yeah, usually it's not the technology. Usually it's me. I figured that out.
It's usually me as well. So anyway,
Right. All right, so let's try this again. Nothing's going on, by the way. That's why we're not on these other markets. So we'll go add. Oh, so now you see the subscribe button is available. Now they should have populated, and you're going to see where this market's going. Very likely. Hey, look at that. Which way do you guys think we're going? So this is what I saw this morning. I'm like, yeah, I want to find a way to get long this market. And then when you actually make your copy, make sure you come in here and uncheck these, or then you won't get those. We've learned the hard way. You guys saw in a prior webinar. So this is incredible information, guys. These are the big players. You see any down here? No. This, like I said, if you're a newbie and you bring up this chart, you're like, oh man, I want to be a seller. Look at all these offers up here. Yeah, I want to. No. Trust me. They want to push that. They're going to get the market to these orders eventually. It may not happen today, but when you get your other things lining up, it could happen today. All I know is if everything else is in line and I'm getting bullish volume events like I am more than happy to be trading this way, right? Yesterday is a good example too. Let's see if I can find it. Spot gamma stuff. Go over that here in a little bit. I'm going to show you, this will be easier. Show you that posted room. This is go to my trade room, which is on Discord as well. So this is what I posted yesterday afternoon, after the screw you move, upside move, when it looked like it was going to die once again. Let's see if I can find it there. Give me a second here. It's pretty interesting. Here we go. This is exactly what I said on this up move. Keep an eye on that trader map liquidity below, none of which got their fill on the move down the first time. So granted, yeah, you were looking at this from the open. You're like, I mean, look at the difference here. There was nothing up here, and you're like, yeah. And then it didn't fill. They moved it up, and it still didn't fill, and it moved up 30 points. So that's why you use this in conjunction with your volume setups, right? The SI indicator. That's why you use this in conjunction with the volume setups, and that's going to help you position, once you get the volume set up in the direction of the liquidity, then it's go time. So anyway, there was a setup up here. It was in the early morning. This is what I was complaining in my trade room about, where I actually didn't take this trade, and I should have. But anyway, what I did point out was keep an eye on this. They didn't get filled, and they did move it up a little bit, but even with this 30 point plus move, they didn't chase it, and they're still there. I was actually thinking we can get down to this, and then lo and behold, came down and filled all this, and we closed right about there. And then there was a setup right at the close. I was going to go short. I never did because it never got an ATR below there. I never followed my rules, but I was playing for that. So this is a perfect example. It's probably not the best. You can see like this came down and tagged this liquidity because these guys are the big players. They will push it to their orders. So that was interesting. I just got filled in wheat. Pretty sure because that's the only order I was working. Let's see. I had it on that. All right, so I'm long that, and I'll put my stop. This is all in the spreadsheet, but it's going to be 110%. Actually, I forgot to change this. It should have actually been long at 773.25. I stopped out at 766.25. So what's 766.25 is just an ATR plus 10% below the zone, because I'm forcing this market. Did you notice I don't get in right here and then say I only like risking 2 points? I force this market to push through the volume event. Hold on. Through the volume event. This was the threshold volume event, right? 177 icebergs. So for me to be wrong, I'm forcing this market to push through this, which are trap traders that were selling, got a mouthful of buy ice and it ripped away. Guess what? You can just imagine you're a heavy seller here and you hold your breath, and now it just came back. It's back here right now. What are you doing? You're like, oh, thank God, I thought I was going to lose 10 grand. Get me out of this trade. And that's what retest failure is, right? It's not saying that's for sure, but the tendencies are that. So my point is, I put my stop away from the zone, a full ATR as well, because you have these ATRs that play the, kind of like this one. This was, it looks like a 2 ATR that play the ATR game that move the market back to the volume event, right? So I'm forcing, for me to be wrong on this trade, I'm forcing it to push through this zone and more than an ATR outside here. And then I say, uncle, I'm wrong, and then I move on to my next trade, right? And that's all. That's what I do, right? So I'm hoping this holds. I did miss an ATR trade there that we're doing in my room as well, but it is what it is. All right, so you can see here we are through this zone in Mr. NASDAQ. That was selling tail, directional conviction. We are now through there. So I'm not as afraid to go long here as I was right in the middle of the zone. I want to see this clear. So if I get a volume signal, I'm going to go going long, and then I'm really going to watch this zone. This zone's very important, right? This was the time buying tail led to that. And then when you rip right through it, first test back, selling tail, directional conviction, selling tail, directional conviction. Really, really important zone. I think that's where we're headed. And that's what this overall market is telling me right now. We're just sitting up here at 23.32. This tick cannot get below zero. So once again, I would not be even considering shorts right now until this starts to turn back over and we can get below zero in the tick. If not, your best trades are to be looking for longs. I just need a volume setup to go long because that's how I trade. I don't play with these algos. I wait for that. Why did this not? Oh, you know why? Because I had my volume turned down because of this clock. So this is a volume event, and this is actually double threshold. And luckily, we're still in here, so I can trade off of this. Like I said, I'm not real gung-ho about going short at this time. And I was really hoping we get a pullback before I got it set up, because I don't like chasing the market. This was 181. So I'm going to incorporate both these because I'm doing position tradings on here. For the ATR trade we're doing in my room, we're going to the most recent setup. But you can see this is basically a continuation of this sell ice, right? You had that, which was 300 plus, then you had another 180. I'm going to incorporate all of that. And then that is going to tell me the high percentage trade of which way we're going to be going based on how it reacts to this high volume event, right? So there's two sides to every trade. There's sell ice in here. Someone's buying it like crazy, and they ran into about 400, 500 sell ice. That's important information. So the way we break out of this zone is probably going to be the bigger move, especially to the upside. It doesn't mean we can't pull back, but this is a good example. If this turns into a bearish setup, that something's starting to change. Right now, looks like we're back off to the races. So now, once again, like this setup, I have to make a decision. This was the morning setup where I was waiting for a retest, didn't get it, missed a 100+ point move up, right? So now, once again, what do I do here? Do I wait for retest failure? ATR, which is 21.5. I'll put the values in the spreadsheet here in a second so you see the exact entry points and exit points. Do I wait for that, or do I just hop in the minute it pops an ATR out of there? Just outside an ATR. That's where your experience and what you look at, so on and so forth, comes into play. So let's go to some of the things I look at. Well, I lost my connection here. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything in ES while my speaker was turned down here. No, it was only 400. So this is the CVD. Again, after 3 years, I learned that you can. I hated this thing the way it looked here. It didn't help me. So this is how when you bring in Bookmap, this is how it looks. I'm like, that just doesn't tell me anything. And then Bruce showed me that you take this off that I never noticed. Now that's helpful, right? This is showing you who the aggressor is. And so this is getting interesting. Doesn't mean you just shorted, but look at this entire move up. There are more sellers than buyers, meaning and let me rephrase that, there's never more sellers than buyers. There has to be an equal amount, or the market would just, vacuum both ways, right? Because there's no one to take the other side of the trade. There's always equal amount of buyers and sellers, just at different prices. So this is telling you who the aggressor is. So as this market's moving up, they are aggressively hitting bids. That's good information. Is this red light, green light? Absolutely not, right? It's pay attention, and then when you go to, so some of the best trades, especially with volume events, again, but this is just talking just the CBD, would be, you see this, you go to a high, you pull back, you go to a higher high, and this continues, and then you get a divergence in the CBD at a higher high. Those are incredible trades, especially if you can get to extreme standard deviation of VWAP, and number one, if you get a volume event. So when those things all line up, that's an A+ trade. It's go time, right? So just keep this in mind. As this market's moving up, somebody's hitting bids, right? Even with these blue bubbles, overall they're hitting bids. I mean, this is recovering a little bit, but it's still below the zero line. So let's see. That's not what I want to look at. Hold on. So this is, and then look at NASDAQ, same exact thing, right? This is getting very interesting. This is where so first and foremost, I'm not going long that setup, right? Because if you guys have been at any of my webinars, these are Ludwig levels. I use these extensively in my day trading with the volume events. These are the second most powerful thing I've ever seen in futures trading, next to Bookmap. Go to ludwiglevels.com. She's got a 3-day trial. Just say you saw the Bookmap webinar. She's got special pricing for you guys. So anyway, I am not going long. That volume setup just happened right here, right? The sell ice. Well, where I was just saying, well, should I go long aggressively or wait for the retest failure? I'm not doing either one of those until this can bust through the slug. So what's going on up here, right? So the best trades are when you can find confluence, when things align, right? So what do we have here? Number one, red lug. There's actually another lug, a baby lug right below there. We have multiple lugs like this right here. Well, this one's basically on top of that. So that makes it even a stronger resistance point. We have extreme standard deviation of VWAP. We're getting close to the top of this market profile composite, and this is like 3 or 4 or 5 days, right? So there's a lot of things here where this can pull back, and then you see these sellers are hitting bids. So the CBD is moving the other way, and that's exactly what you see on this. Let's take a look. Why can't I find that chart now? Up. Same exact thing, right? So this is saying CBDs are right around 1100 minus 1100, meaning there were 1100 more hitting of bids than taking of offers, and you can see it's pretty much the same. And I like this because this is a different data feed. So this is good to have multiple data feeds just to make sure everything's on the up and up and what you're seeing is correct. So 2 different data feeds is showing basically the same CBD, right? So I have to make a decision now, and this is what trading is many times. It's not always slap you in the face. This is which way we're going. A lot of the stuff here is telling me this is bearish, right? This is telling me I should not take shorts, like we've been talking about. So I have to make a decision. So the trump card here is, this is the most important thing to me, right? This is the most important thing in markets, the real-time volume event. Well, if this is a bearish event, well, this is telling you something's up, that this is not going any higher right now, right? So for the sake of this webinar, and I want these things to go to 0, as long as this doesn't push more than an ATR above this zone, which disqualifies a short for me if it does, right? Then it'll I get new lugs, and then we'll reassess everything. If this area can hold, I'm definitely not being aggressive with the ADD where it's at and everything else, but this is able to push an ATR below here, retest failure, I will go short. So now we put the values in there. So the top of the zone, just make sure this is right. So many times you're going to have to spread this out to get the other thing I'm doing now. So I used to have this, right, where I would just draw zones off of the bubbles. Well, that's actually not correct. You want to get this price line in here, right click it, Right click a bubble, configure visible components, go to last price, it'll draw this white line. Then I take my bubbles off, and that helps me draw the zones 100% accurate, right? So let's find that spike. Let's get this off here because it's confusing. Where's it? Here we go. So you can see this spike here. The first spike started here. That actually looks right. I could probably go, I gotta go down. See, the spike started here. So you want to incorporate all the prices in the spike. So just use your crosshair, come over here. This is where this started, actually right there. So I have to actually bring this down. Potentially, I might have to adjust it, but you got hotkeys that you get set up here, right? Or you have to go to the edit feature to move your zone. You go to here and then edit. So that's that. And you can see this black line, that is this iceberg that started to come in. So that is the correct top of that zone. And then you just trace price all the way while the spike keeps coming in. You can see this black line coming in. This is one house. See this black line? That's one house. All right. Interesting information. Then came in again. So I didn't draw this zone separately, even though you could. I made these because this is one house as well. So somebody came in here and sold 500 contracts, 500, close to 500 contracts, right? 313, 181. All right, so let's actually, I like to make my sell ice black just so I know which is which. All right, so that zone looks accurate. Let's just make sure the bottom of it's correct. That was over here. You gotta get off the edit to move it. So you can see that I need to move this down a little bit. Spread your chart out. Make sure your prices are correct. Go in edit mode. Pull it down. There we go. Bottom of the zone is 10,997.75. So go to the spreadsheet. Again, this is proprietary to my trade room. Please don't email me asking for it. Come to my trade room. It's yours. And we're doing two different types of trades in my trade room: a reversion trade and the position trading. On the webinars, I'm doing the position trading. But you have to enter your zones in up here. So that zone again was 10,999.75. Top of your zone is 15 quarter, 10.15 quarter. I'm sorry, 11.15 quarter. And then very important element is your ATR. I'm using a 14 period. See right there, ATR 14 Wilders. It's default on Thinkorswim. It's 20.40, which is actually pretty low for how crazy this thing feels like it's been today. Right? That's what it is. So that means the average range in 5 minutes is 20 points. That's why when I just crack up when I get these emails, I get them all the time. Well, when I trade, I love the way you trade, but I don't want to risk 50 points when I put a NASDAQ trade on. I like to risk 15 points. Well, great, risk 15 points. The market doesn't care what you want to make or lose, right? Like the market cares about the current volatility, which is 20. So if you have your stops less than 20 points, you're asking for a whooping. You're asking for a whipsaw out of your trade. So at least get your, and then the next question is, well, 20 points from what point? Well, that's what this tells you. I use 20 points away from these tops and bottoms of these zones, right? It's just not a random 20 points for me, right? You don't just say, well, here, I'm going to risk 20 points from there. You could, but I'm using it 20 points away from the volume event, which is the most important thing, right? All right, so now, see this just keeps going higher. So they keep selling it. It's not going lower. So first of all, for me to go short, I would need to see, we go down here, the position strategy. So I would be short at 75.25, but I need to see an ATR. So this is 110% of an ATR, 5-minute ATR, that 20.40 we just looked at. The ATR is actually 9.77. So for a short here, potential short here, which I'm still scared to do, but I'll do it. This goes down to 9.775 and retest, fails. I go short at 75, which is 110% of an ATR. All this is already built into the spreadsheet. That would be 75.25. I can put on 2.56 or 3 or 25 minis, micros, I mean. So that's where I would short, but a lot has to happen here for me to go short. And then if the market is able to push an ATR outside of the zone, which would this price is right here, 1103,575. It came close, but it didn't get there yet. Then my short idea is completely disqualified, right? Because from watching so many of these, I've learned if this market has the strength to push at least an ATR away from the zone, then I don't want to be part of a short, because that's just telling me it has the strength, right? It should not get, if this is truly a bearish setup, this should not be able to get a full ATR out of the zone, right? So that's what I use to judge how I'm going to trade these volume events, right? Speaking of which, let's get a little tick strike going so we can get the audio torture, I like to call it. It's very important, but like I say every webinar, and it's nothing worse than seeing the trade go against you and then having to listen to it as well. It's pretty brutal, but it's really important to know what's going on. And actually, what we'll do here, this is a new. Is this available yet, Bruce? Are you still doing?
No, not yet. We're not going to cover that.
I won't cover it, but I can bring. You want to bring it up? You care if I bring it up?
Yeah, no, I don't want you to. I'm going to get in trouble.
Too many questions.
Yeah.
All right. It's kind of basically like a version of this, but just way more enhanced, right? Kind of like everything Bookmap does. It's just way more.
Oh
enhanced.
yeah, there's a lot more to it. But Scott, I'm getting asking development about the Trader Map Pro. Like, how many do you want to see? How many different or have
100.
access to? 100. Okay. All right.
Already. I mean, I want it for every product that I'm looking at. I'm looking at 15 products, but it's definitely more than 5, right? I mean, I've got, just on my big screens alone, I've got 9. I've got, Russell, NASDAQ, E-mini, and then on my top screens, crude, gold, natural gas. So that's 6. Then I got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, pretty much 16 products. So maybe 15. I mean, 10 could do. I mean, I have it on the other Bookmap on my other computer I could watch, but I mean, at least 10. And I already had people yesterday asking me why they can only bring up 5. So I'm sure it's probably going to be an issue for people that watch multiple markets, which you guys should be doing, because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one crappy market if it's not moving around that day. But again, they must have a reason why they're only eliminating it. So I don't know. That's my Christmas wish. It's at least 15.
I will forward this.
Thank you. All right, so you can see here, on a normal day with this volume set up here, I would be taking this short aggressively out of this zone, as long as it didn't get an ATR above, and it still hasn't. On a normal day, meaning when the ADD is not plus 2,300, 2,200, and the tick can actually get below 0. Right, so I'll still short up here, and I have the security blanket of the red lug and the confluence of everything else we talked about. Right, that we're pretty close to the high here. This is the point of control of this, but I'm fighting the overall market right now. Right, so there's your setup. I will take the short, but I need to see that. Then I'll go short. So now I just sit and wait. And this is about, if this pushes an ATR out of here, then this trade idea is done. So this is really interesting. Like, not only are you getting, so you're getting the CBD moving. Let's just pull this back up. Like, this is moving down. Well, this should have spiked big time with this sell ice, because that's buyers, right? Buyers are buying in this ice. So not only do you have sell ice, then you have the aggressors hitting bids as well. So a lot of this is showing that they're definitely fighting this thing for right now. But guess what? Great. Is it moving down? No. So yeah, that's great information. And if this starts to break, then okay, they got him. But if this moves any higher, this thing's probably gonna rip. Why? Just use your common sense. Pretend you're these sellers. Pretend you're this sell ice. How are you going to be feeling when this thing starts to move 50, 75 points away from you? You're going to be puking out. And I will bet anyone a round of golf that you're going to see multiple, when you come to Arizona, round of golf, that if this does move, I wouldn't even say 50 points. If this starts to move 20, 30 points out of the zone, you're going to see stop run down here, stop run, stop run, stop run, because it's all these guys puking. Right now, they're aggressive, and now everyone's holding their breath. The move out of here is going to be the big move, and right now it's looking like that. So get ready for some stop runs. Like I said, if we were in a different area, I would be going long here, probably aggressively because of the ADD and everything else. But we're at the red lug, so for me personally, I need to see this move, at least an ATR out of here. Then I need to see some new lugs form, kind of like they did here at the open, or before the open, like this. Then I'm okay to go long. But right now, I'm not messing with this lug. I've seen it too many times. I can probably find 20 instances just in the last couple of days of going through these markets, how the markets bounced off the red and the blue lugs. They're ridiculous, right? Especially with the volumes. And we're right here in ES as well. Once again, confluence. Red lug, extreme standard deviation, top of a multi-day. This is like 6-7 day market profile composite. This CVD is not actually dropping that bad, but so it's saying this is a potential area it's going to stop. But I just don't hop in trades. I just don't say this is the beauty of the SI indicator, right? I'm like, I have my thesis of what should probably maybe happen up here, but I need to see a volume event, and then I need to see that volume event fail. Then I'm going short. Other than that, I'll just watch. That's part of being a good trader. Not trading is part of being a profitable trader. When you're not seeing what you want to see, you don't just force trades because you're afraid you're going to miss the move. You can, and you're not going to be successful overall. I can promise you. Let's see where we're at here with the Mr. Trader map.
Yeah, Scott, just to reinforce what you had talked about, like the that CVD, and everyone like, oh, look, CVD is going down, but price is going up. I think you're spot on. A lot of times we see really powerful moves, and like you said, people just getting really annihilated on the way up, thinking that can't go up. They can be really, really strong moves. So we saw that during your webinar, like you were ending the kind of near the end of the webinar, and it was very similar. There was tons of buying in an area, but it just kept going lower, and then it was a really heavy move to the downside.
Right. I mean, again, just use common sense. Yeah, they're gung ho on this move up, but this moves a little higher. What are these? They're just going to keep selling to infinity? No, they're going to be like, oh crap, I'm wrong. Got to get out. And then that's what's going to cause the next move up. And your volume event's going to tell you when it's time to jump in on that. This is just all information that you're taking in right now, and you're waiting. You're, like I say, every webinar, you're like a sniper waiting to blow somebody's head off, right? You're just sitting there waiting. It's like, okay, this should do this. I got all this confluence here, but if this doesn't, then bye-bye, right? And then this also is right in line with what we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. This is now, to me, a failed breakdown of this structure. It's definitely a failed breakdown of this guy. This is multi-day, right? Boom, boom, right through that high volume node. And now this zone was confluent with this high volume node. That is bullish. So this is showing me I want to be long too, on top of ADD, on top of potentially this volume event. So what's going to happen here, more than likely, it's looking like it. What I'm going to get here, this may still be in play once this busts through and builds new lugs. Then I would take a retest failure. But I need to see new lugs. That's the way I trade, right? But this is looking like Puke City is about to happen here. So it'll be fun to watch, even though I'm always on I always want the shorts to win because I just do. It's really annoying when the thing goes up for no reason. Like everything's okay with the world. So what may happen here too is, I don't see a ton up here. This is way up here. So this may fill, get some pukes into it, fill these guys, and then by the end of the day it comes back. Something like that. We'll see, right? You don't just short looking for that, but if this fills this liquidity, and here we go. This fills this liquidity and kind of struggles and then you start to see volume setups, well then you can play for that down to there. Because this is pretty much the real market, as far as I'm concerned, right? We're the big players. So this is the real offer. This is the real bid. Yeah, 60 points wide, but you just watch this thing, you will be shocked, just like yesterday, right? Like I showed you guys that that market map from yesterday. Trader map. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Nothing else is really happening anywhere. Crude number is actually at this in 3 minutes, 10 o'clock Central on Thursdays when Monday is a holiday, which it was. So crude numbers coming out here. Let's just take a look at this trader map and see what. So this one I wanted to be long. I still want to be long. Look at this. Like, anybody guess where we're going? Right? And this is quite a ways away. Right? So let's let this number come out. If I start getting bullish setups, it's go time, and I'm playing for that. I mean, for at least a portion of my, I'll get out at my usual areas, but I will be looking at that as my goal. And I was talking about this yesterday, being long going into this, and it did its usual overnight move down, so all the the big money can get long at better prices. One of these, right? This was all overnight. It's just the same game all the time, right? That was overnight trade. And then you can see right at the open they started buying this. I wonder if this number is going to be bullish. I wonder. So this was last night, and then right at the open, which is 6 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock, they started buying the bejesus out of it. It went from 0 to 2,000, right? And it's kind of just in this area, right? So we know the CBD is bullish, potentially, right? We just know who the aggressor is. And then we know all this is up here. I wonder if that aggressor, some of those aggressors are some of these offers, right? So that's what we're watching for. You can see the CBD. This is right at the open. Spike, been sitting up here. Here comes the number. We see all the liquidity on the trader map above. You can see it on the regular as well, but it's just more convoluted on here, right? Because it's showing you all these orders, but there it is, right up there. I'd say that's pretty important information to know. Then you take a look at your bigger picture, right? This is holding this important zone. Right, this was directional conviction, and then that gap up. This was a gap up as well. This looked like basically done. Here comes the number. Here comes the bullish number. And then you had a buying tail right here too, instant rejection. So this is holding. As long as this holds, I expect that. So let's see, right into that liquidity. One move. Just kidding. So the number is out. Now I'm just waiting for a volume event. I don't just jump in. I mean, my thesis is much higher, obviously. But do I just jump in? No, this thing can do another juke move, fill this liquidity down here, and then go, right? So I'm waiting for my volume event. Right, these stop runs should be starting here any second in the equities. So that is now an official ATR above there, I believe. So I can't go short on that setup anyway, which is fine because I was pressing my luck if I did. Let's make sure this is right. It's down to 19.21. So that ATR for me to disqualify my short was 36.50. I'm sorry, 34.50. There you are. So the short idea is now done. What I will do now, as long as we can draw some new lugs, I'm going long. I need new lugs for me personally. You can go long right now. Here's your ATR. Go long if you want. That's what I look at because I've learned the hard way not to mess with the lugs. But that is a bullish value event now. Let's see what happens here. So guys, this is what I talk about too. What should happen? This should, and 80+% of the time, this should pause and come back. There's so many things here. If it doesn't, that's just information. This thing is going to get killed. How many traders are shorting right here, right? So you're getting investment in this area with the CBD, blah, blah, blah. If they're wrong, bye-bye. $151 contracts. And what you're going to see, let's move a little higher, you're going to start seeing the stop runs, and then you're going to see the CBD go right back as the guys puke out. So let's see if it's able to do that. That was a pretty dull crude number, I can tell you that. So there is liquidity down here, but I use that trader map. I up my, so I'm using 25s on here, 25 to 1,000, right? So this is just a little, you can see this, the same liquidity here, but it's just not as strong. But it looks like these guys want to get a little better fill, make everyone think it's going down, and then right there. That's my thesis. Again, I know my odds of that thesis are much better than just staring at a bar chart and being like, well, this was an important zone. Yeah. I mean, this definitely, when you get your thesis and it's in line with that, that's even better. But if I'm just staring at this, say all that liquidity was down here, well, I want to be a buyer, but the real-time volume is telling me we're going lower, right? In this case, it does. This would be a good place to go long just staring at this, but you also know you have all that liquidity up in this zone. That's where I think we're going to be by the end of the day. I think, right? That's my thesis. I need to see a volume event to take the trade, so I wait. I don't just throw on trades long, hoping that I catch the right exact moment where the market starts to move up. Trust me, this will tell you when it's time, or the SI subchart will tell you when it's time to go long. That I follow my process, put my stop in just like I normally do. It's not that I have everything that looks long and then say I get the volume and then I go long and then I'm just like letting it go and then I'm risking forever to prove that I'm right. No, if a volume event comes in here and it's a long volume event, I will go long and I'll risk just like I do any other trading setup, right? Because in my mind, if I am right, this should never get to an ATR below the volume event anyway, right? So why do I want to, if it does, then I'm out and I'll wait for another one because it might be lower, right? That's why this is so important. You can sit and wait and wait and wait, then you fire, then you blow someone's head off. Sorry, this is not a kid's program. Any questions on anything, Bruce? Well, nothing is going on again.
No, let's see. I've answered most of the questions in here on YouTube. And let me check over here. Yep, let's see. You were mentioning open interest and it keeps appearing on the hourly chart.
That's not open interest. This is CBD. Cumulative volume delta. It's showing you who the aggressor is, meaning who's hitting bids versus taking offers. That's all it is. So there's more hitting a bids this entire way up, and they're not doing very well, are they? So it's good information, but they're not doing well. That's why I'm anticipating pukes if this can start to move a little higher, because all these guys that are aggressive are about to take it on the chin.
Yeah, no. He's looking at settings, I think, on the Thinkorswim. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I take that. I don't. That's just, it just keeps popping up. I keep taking it off and saving, and it just keeps popping up. I don't pay attention to that. Gotcha. I mean, that's not part of my trade plan. Yeah, for bigger picture stuff, you absolutely can look at that. I don't. You could look at a million things. That's why I try to keep my trading as simple as possible, because the simpler you keep your trading, the better you're going to do. And I just got stopped out of wheat, so that is not a positive situation. All right, so I did miss my reversion trade that we're doing in my room, which sucks. But anyway, I played, this was an ATR. So I played this right, guys. You're going to have losing trades. That's just the way it is. If you have an edge, do I need to bring up my trading in the zone? I'll do that probably since it's so dead. But anyway, if you have an edge, that's what I look for. I missed it, and I got in there at the same price and took a loss on the next trade. But that's telling me something too, right? So let's look at where we are on the chart. So remember when we looked at this bigger picture, I was a little torn. I said bigger picture, yeah, like big picture, it looked bullish, but it didn't look great. We were below all that. So we're back in the zone. I mean, if we get another setup, I'll go long again. But this is the most recent stuff, right? So this may just, I say it every time, imagine you're in here, you're a bigger firm, you're a big, longer term, big trader, and you were loaded up in here, and now this is happening. Well, you need to get the hell out of your trade, right? So yeah, it's this versus this. This is bigger, but this could come all the way back down to this and still be a bullish, bigger picture, right? Does that mean you just put on a long and you hold it till that happens? No. My thesis would be that, but right now, Now, this is actually even a failed breakout of this, as far as I'm concerned. This is just kind of an ugly balance. Right, that looks like a failed breakout, and we gapped right through it. So that, short term, this was looking bearish, but I was okay with that trade. And I'm okay if I get another setup, I'll take it again. If the setup is bullish. That one didn't work, and you're going to get that. But you take enough of them.
Iceberg sell LE 151 contracts.
Do we resort to trading cattle? Hold on, I'm going to find my little book map. I mean, my trading in the zone document, so we can do some rants while nothing's happening. Let's see. Actually, it's in my trade room. Hold on.
Scott, we can also, I mean, it's, between Christmas and New Year's, we could end a little early if it's nothing happening.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. There we go.
152
so we got another setup. Actually, I want to just find this so I can do some ranting in a little bit. You can't end the webinar on a holiday week without some ranting. Holiday ranting. Where's it at?
That's true.
There we go. All right, so we'll go over this in a little bit. All right, so we got another setup in NASDAQ. Now I could potentially go short again. I couldn't go short that last setup because it got an ATR above there, but now we have a new event. That's why there's a, you don't force things. There's another event or right around the corner. That's this. 440, another 441.
QI Iceberg sell NQ 151 contracts.
Still coming in. So this is getting interesting, man. I mean, it didn't move that much higher. We'll see. But I'm playing this like I do any other setup, right? I'm not going to be aggressive off this. So that happened. This is going to get a little convoluted here, but that started right about there. Right there. Oh, let's go out of that. Change color.
Scott, just going back and forth here with Souza on your VWAP and your offsets. I mean, you're just using 1 and 2 standard deviations on the VWAP, right? On your there's no multiplier or anything like that. It's just a standard deviation.
Right. So, I mean, I only have up to 2. You can have, or let's see, was it 2? 2 or 2.5. This is VWAP. So this is 1 standard deviation, aka daily value area. They call that daily value area. Whoops. This is 1.5. This is 2. So I could have 2.5, 3, 3.5. It's just I try to keep my charts as clean as possible. There's enough on here where I don't need to see those. You can just see by the spacing too, right? So this is 1. You can see this is the same spacing as that. So if this did move up here, then I know we're at 2.5. I know we're at 3. I don't need to have lines for each one. But yeah, this is just standard deviations of VWAP. And you get these algos that kick in like this and push it away from there, especially if there's no relative volume coming through the markets, right? Meaning, so this is the relative volume chart I use for the Sierra. I don't know why all trading platforms don't have this, like Think Swims based on the last 60 periods. I want to know, this is based on the last 30 days, this exact time period. That's how I want to read it, right? So then I know when it starts spiking, like, hey, something different is going on at this time of day, pay attention, right? So that's what these charts are. But when you get to extreme standard deviations and you don't see, like, this isn't even getting to 100% for NES, these algos, mean reversion algos kick in. And that's what you're fighting if you're trying to go long, so on and so forth. So, all right, I don't want to look at wheat. That was very upsetting. I'll wait for another setup there. I will get my revenge. Let's move this on here. Let's see where we are with NASDAQ. So now you got basically this whole area. This is probably the same house, I would guess, but it doesn't matter, right? The point is you had this sell ice over here, And now you have even more here. CBD is going lower as well. This could get interesting. I'm not ready to short it yet. What I will do, but I'm fighting this guy. Let's see if this is turning over. I'm hoping it is. Not really. Hey, we got below the zero in the tech. That's really exciting. Didn't get below zero in NASDAQ, so that's still the overall. So I get questions here. You know, if you're trading and you don't know this stuff, you better learn this stuff, right? It's like, what's tick? What's ADD? This is all basic stuff. This is just showing you advanced declines for the whole stock universe, right? There's 5,000 plus stocks in the NYSE, right? And then there's specific stocks that are in the E-mini S&P. All you got to do is go look at Google the weighting. Just quickly, I know this is elementary for a lot of you, but you'd be surprised. So I go S&P weights, right? And then this is going to show you what S&P 500 companies by weight. Well, that's exactly what these are. This has changed. I probably got to change some of these, but you can see Apple is 6% of the market. Microsoft is 5.5%. Amazon's 2.2%. I have all these stocks here. This is what comprises the mini S&P, right? So there's 500 stocks in the S&P. That's why it's called the S&P 500. So my point is, this is showing you the entire universe of stocks, right? So it's not, I mean, obviously the S&P stocks are in this, but there's another 4,000, whatever it is, the exact amount. All you got to do is Google it. But this is ADD. It's just showing you out of the universe of stocks. Say it's 5,000, 2,100 are up on the day versus yesterday. That's trend up type of day. So you want to pay attention to this. This is just showing how many stocks are upticking versus downticking, meaning, you know, guys taking offers versus hitting bids. That's all this is showing you. You will start to learn the tendencies in this, most likely scenarios when this thing can't get below zero. This is what you want to start to factor in when you're building your playbooks, so on and so forth, where you like this, like I try not to take shorts the best I can, unless it's just mouth watering like this one may be, but majority of the time I won't take shorts if this is over 2,100. Or you can say, I don't take shorts if I can't see this tick getting below the zero line, let alone you want to see like better than minus 500 for this thing to have a real chance to sell off for a bigger move, right? So you can just say, hey, days that I can't see this thing crack, 500 and it's basically staying above zero the entire time, you just eliminate one side of the market that day. Guys, everything is just not the same every day. These are markets. It's dynamic. Things change. So you've got to understand when you want to be taking shorts, when you want to be taking longs, when you want to be trading bigger shorts, bigger longs, so on and so forth. Speaking of which, these little piglets. Oh my God, I just lost my top of my bookmap chart. Hold on. Why does this always happen? So it's like I can't find the chart on top of my other. So annoying. So it's like under the menu bar, and do you think I know? Usually you can move the menu bar, and I can't move it, so I can't pull this chart out of the way. Oh well. So annoying.
What's the issue,
I
Scott?
want this taskbar move. So I'm on this monitor. Mm-hmm. I pull this bookmap chart up, and I can't grab the top of it to move it because it's under the menu bar of my other monitor. Usually I can take the menu bar and just pull it out of the way.
Oh, is it because it's maximized? Is that why?
No, what's maximized?
The chart within that monitor.
No, I just pulled it up, and it's like part of this chart is on my other monitor, but I can't see it below the menu bar. So they should have a thing on here where it's always on top type of feature. It's really annoying. And then now this new Microsoft, the new version, I don't know how to. Anybody know how to do this? Let me know. For the menu bar, right? So this bar, or like this right here. Right?
Yeah,
usually the old version, you can move it.
Right click on the menu bar.
Right, but it just gives me this, and that's what brings me to this. The old version, you could just literally yank it out of the way. Of course, everything's got to change at all times. So annoying. So I don't even know what someone out there has to know. Come on, I can't be the only illiterate tech guy on here. Anyway, I can't grab the top of this book map. Makes me sad.
Let's see.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, yeah, you could try the Alt tab. So Alt plus the tab keys.
Move. I just minimized it. Hold on. Yeah, move. Actually, what I'll do is I'll close it. It's on another monitor. I close it, then it'll go into this. This is just, of course, it's ridiculous that it takes this much to move a damn chart.
Or even Steven is saying
here.
Steven is saying you can also use the window key, hit it twice on the keyboard.
Right, well, I got it, but I'll keep that in mind for next time. So all I did was close it out. I did hit Alt space key. That gave me the option to close the chart. And when you close the chart, it just brings it in the main, and then I brought it back out. So sorry about that, guys. Sorry I'm illiterate. But what I was trying to show you here was these guys still didn't get any fills, but I mean, anyone but want to bet a round of golf that we hit. I'll bet you, let's see, we're at 78.18. I bet you we get up to 80 before we get it down to 76. So that's basically the same amount. Anyone want to bet a round of golf?
I do not hear anyone saying they want to bet.
Because whoever used to bet me owes me about three. I forgot what his name. He's wrong every time because every time it goes to liquidity. All right. All right, so we're just waiting for something to happen here. CBD is still negative, meaning they're still hitting it. At sell ice, you got two batches of sell ice here. We're at the red lug. It'd be nice if this thing would start to turn over like it does every day, like it did yesterday. Like that. We've seen this so many times lately where it'll just give it all back. So that's what I'm hoping happens today. This one did it. This one did it a little bit. These are all different days, obviously. This one did it. So it's a tall task. It's a lot to ask for, but you never know. Just keep an eye on it. You start to see this thing get back under 2,000, you start to see this hitting negative 500, 800, 1,000. Then you're clear to short, in my opinion. So right now, actually, let's put these values in. 3175 is the top of the zone. Bottom is this most recent iceberg. That's this, almost 500. Is 1450. ATR is 19.35. So it's giving me my prices to know what I'm going to do. So if I want to short, I'd be shorting at 93.25, but I need to see ATR retest first. So that the ATR, exact ATR away from the bottom of that zone is 10.995.25. So meaning I need to see to short this because of everything. So if this was just a normal day with the ADD and the tick not so ridiculously extreme, the minute this got an ATR out of here, or 110% of an ATR, I would short it. But I need to see, I shouldn't be shorting this now, but because that's usually my rules, but there's enough going for this that I'm willing to short this, especially in a bearish market overall, right? So if we get 10.995, 75 or quarter, whatever I just said, and retest failure, then I will short this market. Then that means I'd be getting a 93.25. I'd risk up to 53. That's 60 points of risk. Doesn't matter if it's 160 points of risk. You just adjust your size. So this is based on my account size. Actually, this 2%. I could put on 2.51. I'll round up to 3. Right? This is crucial. If you are not following risk rules, you're going to blow out your account eventually. Trust me. Believe it. It's going to happen. You may get lucky for a while, you may get lucky for a couple years, and then it's going to bite you, and then you're going to blow out your account. And you're going to say, I wish I listened to Scott and had some risk rules. All right. I was going to show you guys something else here too. Oh, I just want to see, like, we're not, I'll go along that same setup, but I need to see new lugs form, and they just have not formed yet in either market. This is how they work. This is why I don't go long into them. All right, but once again, if this market is able to move outside of the zone, at least in ATR, we get new lugs, and then if we retest fail, I will go long because I know these guys are all screwed, and then all these sellers are screwed, and then you're going to get a rip. But now I just wait. I wait and see which way that I'm letting the market reaction to this volume event tell me which way I should trade. It's simple. It's not easy. Trading is not easy, but you can make it simple. And the simpler you can make it with, exact playbooks and scenarios that you need to see, it's just your mind's going to free up, and then you're going to become a good trader, right? The more crap you throw on your charts with all this conflicting information, the worse you're going to do, right? It seems like I have a lot of information, and this is nothing, right? This is just like basic stuff. I could imagine some of your guys' charts, right? 5,000 moving averages and MACDs and RSIs and everything else. Like, it's just, you don't need all that. Keep it simple. Base it on volume, because that is what drives markets. I don't care what indicator you're using. It's not going to work unless you have the volume working with it. The volume events working with it. The buying, the selling, so on and so forth. All right. So no questions. I mean, there's not really nothing happening. So, I mean, I'll answer. We can go over trading in the zone again, go on some rants. It's up to you, Bruce. We've got about 5 minutes to your guys' start, 6 minutes. Your other guy.
We can close out the year with a nice little rant somehow.
All right. Your wish is my command. So this is a document we use in the room. This is directly from Trading in the Zone. Get the book, audio book, regular book. This is right in there. I mean, I put my stuff in here, but what he talks about, this is towards the end of the book, right? Creating a belief in your consistency. And this is why you're a consistent winner. And then when you can do all these, you will be a consistent winner and a profitable trader. So just as you read these, just imagine what I've been showing you, visualize what I've been showing you today. I have all of these in place, right? I objectively identify my edges. This is objectively identifying this volume event. I'm not saying, hey, it's sell ice, I want to go short right now. I don't know. Yeah, the odds are this will probably hold because paper usually gets their way, but I'm not, I'm objective here. I have rules on how this should react to decide which way I want to trade it, right? I don't just jump in the minute I see sell ice and say, oh, they're selling, I want to sell. You could, I don't, because I've learned the hard way. You just don't jump in the way of the ice because they are wrong many times. Just because this house says that we're going lower, but what if someone bigger comes in and pushes it right out of here, right? That's why I wait. I don't just jump in. This is not God. God's not selling here, end all be all. Someone bigger can come in and push it right back through and have 10,000 buy ice. See what I'm saying? So you need to, this is an objective way of drawing these areas. And then I have an objective way, ATR retest, or, it has to get at least an ATR of how I trade them. That's objective. That's not imposing my will on the market or what I think should happen. I predefine risk of every trade, and I have it here, just outside an ATR for both entries and stops. That's 10% of an ATR, 110%. Gone over that. I completely accept the risk, or I'm willing to let go of the trade. We saw that in wheat. I had a volume event. I had my, what's the heat map? I had my, what I look for to qualify it as a long, the ATR retest failure. And actually it was here, and I took the long. That one did not work. I have my rules, put it on, out of the next edge. I completely accept the risk and won't let go of the trade. So I risked 110% below an ATR below there, and I already had that all in the spreadsheet what I was willing to risk amount wise. and trading the correct size to risk 1.5 to 2% of my account size, right? That's what that is, all right? There, right? So I traded a little more. I put on 10, I should only put a 9. I don't know why this changed, but oh, you know why? Because I had the wrong ATR in there, so I traded. That's why the loss was a little more. But this is telling me how much I should be putting on for how much I want to risk. It doesn't matter what I'm risking in points. I'm adjusting it based on my account size. Actually, this should be as well. Oh, most important part right there, as far as I'm concerned, before you do anything as far as analyzing the market. I act on my edges without reservation or hesitation, right? I usually really good with this. There are some areas like today, like I have kind of hesitation of going short. I'll still do it, but it doesn't feel good based on what I'm talking about. And some days you're just going to have where things are just confusing. And this leads me to my other rant that I'm always telling you guys. For you guys are out there with your ridiculous my profit, I don't care what this is. I'm using $5,000 because this was my trading firm for some reason. This was the magic number. When I get up $5,000, I'm done for the day. Why? What, guys? You realize you should know if you traded for any length of time how hard trading can be. How some days they just don't make sense, and that's just market dynamics, right? So when you are seeing things clearly and you are making money, do not get up out of your chair. Now, again, I said this, we've gone over this. Bruce has heard this rant 80 times, but I'm okay with saying, hey, if I hit my profit goal and I give back a percentage, say you come up with your percentage. I don't care what it is, but give something back before you quit. So 10%, 20%, I'd say 20% is a good rule of thumb. So you say, if I'm up 5,000, if I give back $1,000, then I'm done for the day. I'm fine with that. I'm not saying you sit here and you give back your entire profit. But guys and girls, if you are making money, do not get your ass out of the chair, because there's going to be, when you get your ass out of the chair is when you are getting smoked. You hit your loss limit for the day. Things aren't making sense. You just say, you know what, this just does not make sense today. And you're going to get those a lot, right? So when you're doing well, I'm begging you not to get up out of your chair. Have a pullback amount. Keep trading, because if you can make 5, you can make 10. If you can make 10, you can make 20. Guys in my trading firm, this is one of the things that motivated me when I first started trading. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I worked at the board of trade. I was an ARB clerk, but I didn't know anything about actual trading. But I saw these clowns make $5,000 and then shut their computer off and go play ping pong and video games in the game room the rest of the day. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it just made no. It still to this day doesn't make sense to me when people say, "Hit my profit goal, done for the day." All right, so that's that rant. We'll get through these quickly, and then I'm gonna hop off because is your other guy here, or is he out for the holiday?
No, everyone's here this week, so it's yeah, we got a full stream.
Okay, and then so I act at my edges without reservation, hesitation. I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. So as the market moves up, so for instance, like this, so when this crude event finally fires off, because it will, right? I know there's a very, 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 very good chance we're getting up here, right? So I get at my event, I get long. Well, this is my ultimate objective, but doesn't mean as we get up there, because it doesn't mean it's going to get up there today. It could do that and wait a day and then whatever. So I will keep a portion on, try to get to this, but as the market makes available, like when we get to certain areas, right? So if I'm looking, these are the areas that I take profit on, makes sense to me, right? So if I get long, what do I start looking at? Well, I'll look at the tops and bottoms of market profile composites. So if we do start, say we got to set up right here, we rip up to the top of this, I would get out of, say I have 4 or 5 on, I'll get out of 1 or 2 there. If it struggles, if it blows right through there, and that's where you use your Bookmap bubbles, right? If you see blue bubble, blue bubble, blue bubble, or green, that's the default, that's the buying. You don't need to get out. You don't want to be selling if no one else is selling, but I will watch that area. What are there some other areas? I'll look at baby lug, especially if it's confluent. This one is pretty confluent. This is baby lug, extreme standard deviation with the top of market profile. I'd probably get out of more than that. I'd probably get out of half, right? Then I'm looking at red lug. I will watch red lug. Usually I'll get out of all of them, but I know all that liquidity is up there. So I'll probably get out of most. Whatever I have left, I'll keep at least 1 on and try to get to the liquidity, right? So it doesn't mean I'm putting something on and just, it's this, this or bust. I will get out in important areas as we move to my ultimate goal, which would be up to that liquidity, right? So you just go ahead and watch. Now that the number's out, the information in the market, you go ahead and watch this market. By the end of the day, I have very strong conviction, high percentage we're going up there, especially if these things keep rallying because crude will join. And then quickly, I don't have time to go into rants and all these. I continue to monitor my susceptibility for making errors. I make tons of errors all the time, and I do them publicly because I'm on my trade room, which is not fun, but it makes me a better trader. Tired, irritable, overconfident, subpar trading days. This is really important. It's why you want to watch multiple markets. You should be getting a puke here any minute now, and Q, by the way. And then I understand the absolute necessity of these principles of consistent success, and therefore I never violate them, right? So you need to tattoo this on your forehead, first and foremost. That's what I tell my trading room. And then I'm not going to get into all this. We'll do this in the next webinar if it's dead like it has been. But this is number one. Directly out of Trading in the Zone, read it. Very important, understanding what you need to do to be profitable. All right, so before I hop off, all I'm looking for now, this is almost, let's just get the exact price for this ATR, move out of here, and then I'm gonna go long. I just need to see, you're gonna, like this is, we're probably gonna be getting lugs here, new lugs momentarily, should be getting some pukes, but that price for that, for my long there, would be, ATR is back up to 20, so that's not the right market, hold on. So it's 20.05. So my prices to go long. It needs to touch at least 51.75. Right? And then I need to see, I'm again, because there's lugs here, and I'm hoping we get new lugs. If we don't get new lugs, I'm not taking this long. But if this moves up higher, we're going to get new lugs. Then it'll retest, then it'll fail, then I'm going long. You could go long right now, right when it gets an ATR out of here, just outside the ATR, but I'm going to wait because number one, it lugs. But that's how I'm going to trade that. So I want to see that 51.75 price. Then I want to see the retest of that zone. Then when it moves out of here, this is where I'll go long. This is my stop. This is how much I'm risking. And I could put on 2.45, I'll round up to 3. So that's how I will trade that. There's not been one setup in ES today. We're getting close to this liquidity up here. Once that fills, then things may change because I don't really see much above, but keep an eye on that if you have Trader Map. That's part of Global Plus now, right, Bruce?
The Trader Map Pro, like I wanted to mention it earlier on in the beginning of the webinar. You know, matching that up with your higher time frame levels. I mean, you really got something powerful there. You know, maybe it's also along with your lugs, or maybe it's with your, you know, the options stuff, you know, from Brent.
Okay.
Yeah, spot gamma, or you know, whatever. I mean, like that's where you really got something. But the Trader Map Pro is right now, well, basically it is included because it's MBO data only. It only works with MBO. It is now a part of the MBO bundle. So the Stops and Icebergs bundle. So it only works with rhythmic data for CME group futures. Therefore, it makes good sense that it's there. However, for now, it's also available with Global Plus for free, so people can try it out and see if they like it.
Okay, Global, yeah, because I noticed what's his name said, the Dean said it was part of Global Plus, and then
Yeah. But we just you can see what we're doing. I mean, like we're adding value to like either Global Plus or Global or some of the add-ons. Like so in this case, we're adding value to the Stops and Icebergs add-on. So
right.
you're getting more, but it's the same price. The Stops and Icebergs is still the same price, but you're getting more value.
Right. And then again, guys, everything that I talk about on here, just go to my website. These are all these banners, Bookmap, the APAC, all this stuff is discounts for what I use, right? Except for Spot Gamma is not a discount, but if you use the Hero, we didn't even look at the Hero today. Let's just take one quick look. But you get discounts to all that stuff. But the Hero, you get an extra week for the trial. Let's just see what this looks like. This is another thing you want to pay attention to, especially the short-term options complex. Let's just look at mine. See what SPX looks like. SPX was not working yesterday. It's still not working. I don't understand what the deal is here. SPY. So the white is the price line. The blue is the options complex. I'm not seeing much there. Qs. Not much there. And then SPY's not. Oh, there we go. So not really. Where you really want to watch is like if this thing starts to go that way, then you're ready for the market to really, on top of everything else, right? This is just another factor. But these guys play games with the options dealers. These big money, they run them over, and then they have to cover, they have to hedge, and then you get these extended moves. So this is another thing we can really cover today. But yeah, all that stuff's on my website. And then I'm gonna come out with a subscription to these zones. It'll be pretty cheap. It'll probably be like $29 a month or something, where you could just literally have access to. I'm gonna have all 16 products, and you can just bring in these zones. I'll send out an email when that's ready. That's probably be done pretty quick because I'm working on all my other stuff, the new course and everything. But this is pretty straightforward. So if you want an email when that's ready, just go to my website. There's like a form you can fill out, put your email in, and then when that's ready, I'll send it out to you. Other than that, have a happy new year. It's not going to be a happy new year for the shorts here pretty soon. And I will see you guys next Thursday.
Excellent. Thanks, Scott. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2003.
2003? Well, that would be great.
I'm sorry, 2023.
I wish I could go in the time machine.
Yikes.
That would be really cool. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.